History is full of great conquerors. You've got your Genghis Khans, your Julius Caesars, well, you get the idea. These are people who looked at the world map and said, you know what? I think I can make that all one color. My color. But among all these titans of ego, one man stands out, not just for what he did, but for how fast he did it. This is the story of a kid who inherited a small, rowdy kingdom, was tutored by the Aristotle, believed his mom slept with Zeus, and then, before his 30th birthday, proceeded to conquer pretty much everything. This is the story of Alexander the Great. And to understand how he did it, we can't start with him. We have to start with his dad. Transition. Now meet Macedonia. In the 4th century BC, if the Greek world was a high school, Athens was the debate club president. Sparta was the terrifying varsity quarterback who peaked freshman year, and Macedonia, they were the weird kids from the countryside who smelled like goats and were banned from the prom. Greek philosopher. Oh, you're from Macedonia. How? Rustic. Can you even speak Greek, or do you just grunt and point at things? Narrator. The Greeks looked down on the Macedonians as barely civilized barbarians, but the Macedonians had a new king, and he had big, ambitious, and slightly drunk ideas. His name was Philip II, and he was a force of nature. As a young man, he was a political hostage in the Greek city of Thebes, which was ironically the best education he could have gotten. He didn't just learn Greek, he learned their cutting-edge military tactics. When he got home, he looked at his army, which was basically just a mob of angry go-herders. Philip II, one eye patched, holding a mug of wine. All right, lads, this is terrible. You're a mess. We need a rebrand. We need professionalism. And most importantly, we need bigger sticks. Macedonian soldier 1. Bigger sticks, sir? Philip II. Bigger sticks. What's the problem with your spears? They're too short. The enemy can just run up and stab you. What if, and hear me out, what if our spears were stupidly long? Narrator. Philip wasn't kidding. He introduced the sarissa, an 18-foot-long pike. It was so long you had to hold it with 2 hands. When his new army, the Macedonian phalanx, lined up for battle, it wasn't an army. It was a 10-ton, 16-rank-deep human hedgehog of pure death. No one could get near it. But Philip didn't stop there. He perfected the hammer and anvil tactic. The phalanx, the anvil, would march forward, pinning the enemy in place, holding them, and just when the enemy was totally focused on the wall of 18-foot spears, Philip himself would lead his other new creation, the companion cavalry, the hammer, in a massive charge, smashing them from the side. It was brutal, it was effective, and it was unstoppable. Philip used this new doom machine to steamroll all of Macedonia's neighbors. Then he turned south and did the unthinkable. At the Battle of Gaugamela, he crushed the combined armies of Athens and Thebes, the very cities that used to mock him. Philip II had just made the barbarians the undisputed masters of Greece. Philip II at a bar, yelling at the Greeks. Who's a barbarian now, you cheese-sniffing snobs? I own you. Now, who's up for invading Persia? Narrator. Yes, that was his real plan. To unite all of Greece in one glorious war against the biggest, baddest empire on the block, the Persian Empire. Philip was a military genius. He was a political mastermind. He was also a terrible husband. Narrator. If Philip's public life was a triumph, his private life was a dumpster fire. This guy had at least 7 wives, and his main wife, wife number 4, was a woman named Olympias, and Olympias was intense. She was from Epirus, a land of ancient mystical traditions. She was a devout follower of the cult of Dionysus. She reportedly slept with snakes. She was the kind of woman who, if you met her at a party, you would immediately fake an emergency phone call. Philip and Olympias in the bedroom. Philip II. Honey? Darling? Love of my life? Are those snakes in the bed again? Olympias. They are not snakes, Philip. They are vessels. They carry the spirit of the gods. Besides, they like you. Philip, I don't think they do. That one's looking at my good eye. I'm gonna go sleep on the couch. Or in another wife's house, probably that one. Narrator, into this hot mess of booze, ambition, and serpents, a son was born. In 356 BC, Olympias gave birth to Alexander, and she immediately started a rumor, a big one. Olympias talking to her friends. Oh my goodness, you'll never guess what happened. I was just lying in bed and boom, a thunderbolt right into the, well, you know, and then a giant eagle. Or maybe it was a snake. Anyway, point is, Philip is not the father. It was, Zeus. Narrator, Philip, to his credit, just kind of went with it. Philip II. My wife slept with Zeus and produced a demigod. You know what? That sounds awesome. Great for marketing. My son, the demigod. I love it. Narrator, so you have Alexander, a kid with a father who thinks he's the greatest king in the world, and a mother who tells him he's literally the son of God. This is not a recipe for a humble, well-adjusted child. This is a recipe for an ego that could conquer the world. Philip knew this kid was special, and when Alexander was 13, Philip didn't just get him a tutor, he got him the tutor. Cut to Aristotle at a blackboard. Good morning, class. I am Aristotle. You may know me from my work, Inventing Logic, and Biology, and Ethics, and Political Science. Today's lesson, the golden mean. Virtue is found in moderation. We must not be too brave, which is rashness, nor too cowardly, which is, well, cowardice. Alexander, hand raised, vibrating with energy. Professor, what if you were so brave that you just won? What if your rashness was just awesomeness? And why be moderate? Why not be maximally great, like conquer the world great? Aristotle sighs, rubs temples. Alexander, for the last time, you cannot conquer the abstract concept of ethics. We have a syllabus. Please stop trying to defeat the syllabus. Narrator, Aristotle gave him a classical education, but the book Alexander loved most was Homer's Iliad. He slept with a copy under his pillow. His hero wasn't the noble Hector. It was Achilles, the unstoppable, rage-fueled, glory-obsessed demigod. Alexander didn't just want to be Achilles, he wanted to be better than Achilles. He got his first chance to prove it with a horse. Transition. Narrator, the story goes that a horse trader brought Philip an incredible stallion named Bucephalus, but the horse was a monster. It was wild, unmanageable, and threw every rider who tried to mount it. Philip II. Bah, this beast is useless. Take it away. It's as broken as Athenian democracy. Alexander, stepping forward, aged about 12. Father, you're all doing it wrong. You're scaring him. He's not afraid of you. He's afraid of his own shadow. Narrator, Alexander calmly turned the horse to face the sun so it couldn't see its shadow, spoke to it gently, and then hopped on. He rode the untamable horse to the cheers of the court. When he dismounted, Philip reportedly wept. Philip II, hugging him. My boy, Macedonia is not big enough for you. You must find a kingdom equal to your ambition. Narrator, but as Alexander grew, so did the tension. Philip, for all his genius, was still Philip. He drank, he partied, and he kept marrying new women. This came to a head at the wedding feast for his newest wife, a Macedonian noblewoman named Cleopatra Eurydice. At the party, the bride's uncle, a general named Attalus, stood up to give a toast. Cut to Attalus, very drunk. A toast to King Philip, and to his new wife, and to... looks sideways at Alexander. To a new, legitimate heir to the throne. Narrator, ooh, burn. He had just called Alexander, the son of the foreign Olympias, a bastard. Alexander did not take this well. Alexander jumps up, throws his wine cup. What did you say, you old goat? What did you just call me? Am I a bastard then? Philip II jumps up, also very drunk, draws his sword. How dare you apologize to my wife's uncle? I am the king, and I demand— Whoa. Narrator, Philip, completely wasted, tried to lunge at his son and immediately tripped over a couch, falling flat on his face. Alexander looked down at his father, the master of Greece, lying in a puddle of wine. Alexander, voice dripping with contempt. This is the man who is going to lead you from Europe to Asia? He can't even cross a single banquet hall. Narrator, Alexander and his mother Olympias went into self-imposed exile. It was a massive scandal, but Philip, despite his anger, was a pragmatist. He was still planning his great invasion of Persia, and he knew he couldn't do it without his rockstar general and heir, Alexander. So he patched things up. Alexander was brought back. A huge celebration was planned to launch the Persian invasion. It was the summer of 336 BC. Philip was at the peak of his power. The world was at his feet. And then, as he walked into a crowded theater, one of his own bodyguards, a man named Pausanias, ran up and stabbed him to death. Long pause, record scratch, noops. In the chaos, the assassin was killed. The motive? Unclear. Some said it was a personal dispute. But who really benefited from Philip's death? Alexander, age 20, being placed on the throne. Alexander, smiling. Well, this is a convenient turn of events. Cut to Olympias, gleefully placing a golden crown on the severed head of the assassin. Olympias, humming. What a tragedy. Such a shame. Yeah, it was probably Olympias. Transition, securing the throne. Alexander was now king of Macedonia. He was 20 years old, and everyone thought he was weak. The second Philip's body was cold, all the kingdoms he had conquered decided to test the new kid. The barbarians to the north, they revolted. The Greek cities to the south, they revolted. Greek politician in Thebes. Alexander, he's a boy. He's probably in his room playing with his Iliad action figures. Philip is dead. Macedonia is finished. Let's party. This was a mistake. First, Alexander force-marched his army north and completely crushed the barbarians in a whirlwind campaign. He was so fast, rumors started to spread that he had been killed in battle. This made Thebes very happy. Thebes, he's dead, we knew it. Let's tear down the Macedonian garrison. We are so smart. They were not smart. Alexander heard the news, spun his entire army around, and marched 300 miles south in 13 days. Cut to Thebes. A citizen is on a ladder painting "Macedonia sucks" on a wall. Theban citizen 1. This is great, no more Philip, no more. A dust cloud appears on the horizon. It gets bigger and bigger. The Macedonian phalanx appears. Theban citizen 1 gulps. Oh crap. Alexander gave them one chance to surrender. They refused. What followed was not a battle. It was a massacre. Alexander told his men to show no mercy. They razed the entire city to the ground. They killed 6,000 people and sold 30,000 more into slavery. He left exactly one building standing, the house of Pindar, a poet he happened to like. The message was sent. Cut to Alexander standing on the rubble of Thebes, dusting off his hands. He looks at Athens. Any other ideas? Athens, frantically hiding revolt banners. Nope. No, sir, we love you, king. All hail Alexander, hegemon of Greece, lord of everything. We were just, redecorating. Narrator, all of Greece fell in line. Alexander, having secured his backyard with terrifying efficiency, now turned his eyes east. It was time to finish what his father started. It was time to conquer Persia. Transition, the Persian gamble. Okay, let's set the stage. The Achaemenid Persian Empire was, to put it mildly, massive. It stretched from Egypt all the way to India. It had millions of people, endless gold, and a navy that ruled the seas. And ruling this behemoth was the King of Kings, Darius III. Cut to Darius III on a giant golden throne being fanned and fed grapes. Darius III, life is good. I'm rich, I'm handsome, I'm basically a god. What's that? Some 21-year-old goat herder from Macedonia? Is that even a real place? Tell him to go away, I'm busy. Narrator. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed the Hellespont, the strait separating Europe and Asia, with about 48,000 men. It was not a big army. The Persians could field armies 5 times that size without breaking a sweat. This whole plan was, objectively, insane. As he stepped onto Asian soil, Alexander threw a spear into the beach. Alexander, I claim Asia. It is mine, a gift from the gods. Macedonian soldier too, whispering, Sir, shouldn't we, fight them first? Narrator. They didn't have to wait long. The local Persian governors, or satraps, gathered an army to meet him at the Grenix River. Persian satrap 1. Okay men, here's the plan. We wait on our side of the river. He's on that side. He's not stupid enough to charge across a river, uphill, and straight into our elite cavalry, right? Persian satrap 2. Right. Only a complete moron would do that. We've got this. Narrator. Alexander arrived at the river. His most trusted general, Parmenion, a veteran who had served Philip for decades, gave his advice. Parmenion. Sir, the river is deep, the banks are steep, and they're waiting for us. This is a tactical nightmare. Let's wait. Let's cross upstream during the night. Alexander, staring at the enemy, a wild look in his eye. No. Parmenion. No, sir, it's a terrible idea. Alexander, charge. Narrator. Alexander, at the head of the companion cavalry, personally led the charge straight across the river and up the muddy bank. It was pure, unadulterated chaos. He was in the thick of it, a bright plume on his helmet making him the #1 target. A Persian noble swung a battle axe and split his helmet open. Alexander was stunned. Another noble raised his scimitar for the killing blow, and his arm was suddenly chopped off. It was Clytus the Black, one of Alexander's bodyguards, who had just saved the entire invasion. Remember that name. It's going to come up again later, awkwardly. The Persians, who were not expecting this level of suicidal insanity, broke. They ran. Alexander had just won an unwinnable battle through sheer, terrifying audacity. He marched through Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, liberating Greek cities. His next stop, the city of Gordium. The knot. In Gordium, there was a local legend. An ancient ox cart was tied to a post with an incredibly complex knot made of bark. An oracle had declared, whoever can untie this knot will become the ruler of all Asia. For hours, Alexander struggled with it. He pulled, he twisted, he looked for a loose end. He couldn't find one. He was getting frustrated. Alexander, sweating, pulling, stupid, knot won't budge. Narrator. Finally, he looked at it. He looked at the crowd watching him, and he looked at his sword. Alexander, you know what? Screw this. Narrator. He pulled out his sword and with one massive swing, sliced the knot in half. A stunned silence from the crowd. Alexander, sheathing his sword. Problem solved. Asia's mine. Let's go. This is the perfect metaphor for Alexander. While other people see rules, traditions, and problems, Alexander just sees things he can hit with the sword. Darius wakes up. Back in Persia, Darius was finally realizing this wasn't just some border raid. Darius III. He did what to the knot? That was a priceless historical artifact, and he cut it. Okay, that's it. This kid has no respect. I guess I'll have to deal with this myself. But first, Alexander had to deal with the Phoenician city of Tyre. Tyre was a problem. It was a major Persian naval base, and it was, on an island. Tyre. Hey, Alex, we're neutral. Yeah, neutral. We won't let the Persians in, but we're not letting you in either. What are you gonna do about it? You don't have a navy? You gonna swim at us? Alexander stares at the island half a mile offshore. Build a road. Macedonian engineer. A road, sir. It's the ocean. Alexander, did I stutter? Build a road. Out of rocks and trees. Just pile 'em up. Go. Narrator. For 7 months, Alexander's engineers and soldiers built a causeway, a land bridge out to the island, all while the Tyrians in their ships shot arrows at them, and their impenetrable walls launched catapult stones and dumped red-hot sand on the attackers. It was hell. But it worked. When the walls were finally breached, Alexander was incensed. He had wasted 7 months. The sack of Tyre was one of the most brutal of his career. 8,000 Tyrians were killed, 30,000 were sold into slavery, and he had 2,000 military-aged men crucified on the beach. He had built a road to an island out of pure, terrifying spite. After Tyre, his next stop was Egypt. The Egyptians hated the Persians. Egyptian priest, you conquered Tyre. You beat the Persians. Oh my gosh, come on in. We love you. You're not a conqueror, you're a liberator. Wanna be our new pharaoh? Please be our new pharaoh. Alexander was like, okay, sure. This is where his son of God complex really starts to kick in. He's declared a living god by the Egyptians. He founds a new city, which he humbly names Alexandria, the first of many. But he needed to be sure. So he made a dangerous 200-mile pilgrimage across the desert to the remote oracle of Siwa, a sacred site for Zeus Ammon. He went into the inner sanctum alone to speak to the priest. No one knows exactly what was said, but when Alexander came out, he was glowing. Parmenion. So, what'd he say? Alexander, smiling, serene. He said what I wanted to hear. He said, "O son of Zeus." And hey, real quick, we have just watched Alexander secure Greece, cross into Asia, and be declared a literal god. He hasn't even met Darius in a real battle yet. This story is just getting started. If you want to see how this demigod maniac takes on the largest empire on Earth, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss part 2. That's it, it's official. In his mind, he is literally a god. And now it was time for this new god to meet the King of Kings. Darius was panicked. He had gathered a massive army from all corners of his empire. He had cavalry, he had infantry, he had everything. He chose to meet Alexander at Issus, in a narrow coastal plain. Darius III said, "This is perfect. The battlefield is narrow. It'll completely neutralize his genius cavalry tactics, and my superior numbers will just crush him. I am so smart." I sigh. It also neutralized his own superior numbers, because they couldn't spread out. Whoops. The battle began. It was a grinding, bloody mess. And then Alexander saw him. Across the battlefield, shining in gold, was Darius III in his royal war chariot. Alexander, there he is. Alexander, in a move that should surprise no one at this point, gathered his companion cavalry into a wedge and launched a direct suicidal charge straight at the center of the Persian line, aiming for one man. For a moment, the two kings locked eyes. Alexander, covered in blood, charging like a madman. Darius, in his chariot, realizing that madman was coming for him, and Darius panicked. He turned his chariot around and fled. Just took off, left his army, left everything. Persian soldier, sir, where is the King of Kings going? Persian soldier 2, he's running away. Well, if he's running, I'm running. The entire Persian army, seeing their king bail, collapsed. It was a total rout. Alexander had won again. He captured the entire Persian royal camp, the gold, the tents, and Darius's mother, his wife, and his daughters. Darius sent a message. Darius' letter. Hey, whoops, look, I'm sorry. Can I have my family back? I'll give you, half my empire, all the land west of the Euphrates, and my daughter in marriage. Deal? Parmenion, the old general, read the letter. Parmenion. Sir, this is an incredible offer. Half the empire. If I were Alexander, I would accept. Alexander scoffs. And I would accept if I were Parmenion, but I am Alexander. He offers me half. I'm coming for all of it. Tell him he already has his land and his family, and if he wants to see them, he can come here and ask his king. Ooh, sick, burn. Darius's mother, Sisygambis, was so impressed with Alexander's respectful treatment of her, he called her mother, that she reportedly ended up liking him more than her own son, which has to be the most awkward family reunion ever. Darius had no choice. He ran east to the heart of his empire to raise a new army, the final army. Transition Gaugamela. This was it, the big one, the decider. October 1st, 331 BC, the Battle of Gaugamela. Darius wasn't making any mistakes this time. He gathered an obscene number of soldiers. Ancient sources say 1 million, which is nuts, but modern estimates are still around 250,000. Alexander had 47,000. Darius had chosen the battlefield, a massive, wide, flat plain that he had specially flattened so his tanks of the ancient world, the scythed chariots, could work. These were chariots with giant spinning blades on the wheels, designed to drive straight into an infantry line and turn it into human chili. Darius had his mega army, he had his scythed chariots, he had his immortals, elite infantry. He had cavalry from every nation. He was ready. Hello, we're excited to show you our native speech capabilities. Parmenion. Sir, there's so many. Look at their campfires. It's an entire city. We have to attack at night. Surprise them. It's the only way. Alexander. No, I will not steal my victory. He goes to his tent and sleeps soundly while his generals are all pooping their pants. The morning of the battle, Alexander's plan was weird. He lined his army up, but he angled his flanks back like a U. He looked like he was inviting the Persians to surround him. The battle begins. Darius III. Unleash the chili makers. Charge the chariots. The scythed chariots thundered towards the Macedonian phalanx. The Macedonians, they just opened their ranks. They just stepped aside. Cut to charioteer, Persian charioteer. Wait, what? Hey, get back here. Let me turn you into chili. Ah! The chariots, having charged harmlessly through the gaps, were easily picked off by javelins from the reserves in the back. Darius III. Well, crap. Okay, plan B. Surround them. This is what Alexander was waiting for. He took his right wing, led by the companion cavalry, and started riding away from the battle. Just riding, right, off the map. Darius III, confused. What is he doing? Is he running away? No, he's trying to flank me. My army is a mile wide. Okay, fine. Send my cavalry to chase him. Don't let him get around you. Darius ordered his best cavalry from his left wing to ride out and intercept Alexander. But it was a trap. As Darius's cavalry rode out to chase Alexander, it created a hole, a gap, right in the Persian front line next to Darius's own position. Alexander saw it. Alexander, who stopped riding right, he turned his cavalry. Alexander, a slow, terrifying smile. Gotcha. Alexander wheeled his entire cavalry force, 1,800 men, into a perfect wedge, and like a spear thrown by a god, he charged directly into that gap and made a beeline for Darius. It was Isis all over again. Darius, seeing the same blonde-haired demigod maniac charging at him personally, did the exact same thing he did at Isis. Nope. He turned his chariot and he fled. Again. Persian soldier. Is he running away again? Persian soldier 2. Same one. Yep. Right, I'm off to India. The center of the Persian army collapsed. The king of kings was gone. The most powerful empire on earth was broken. Alexander rode into the city of Babylon not as a conqueror, but as the new king of Asia. He was 25 years old. He had avenged Greece. He had toppled an empire. He was the richest, most powerful man in the known world. He had done it. So, time to go home, right? Put his feet up, marry a nice girl, maybe stop conquering? Oh, you sweet summer child. No, he wasn't even close to being done. Alexander wanted everything. And that's where we leave Alexander for now. He's the king of Babylon, but his eyes are already on the horizon, looking towards India and the ends of the earth. So, what do you think? Was Alexander a visionary genius or just a power-hungry tyrant with a god complex? Let me know your favorite part down in the comments, and tell us which historical figure you want to see get the fast-paced, oversimplified treatment next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in part 2.